Am I wrong for getting a hotel room for my daughter entirely for herself after her stepsisters made her sleep on the floor? My dad passed away 2 weeks ago. Me, my wife Candace, and my daughter 16, Shiloh, and her stepsisters 19 and 17 flew to my hometown to attend the funeral. After that, we got 2 hotel rooms, one for me and Candace and one for the girls. While I was in the room, I got a call from Shiloh at 11 p.m. crying and sounded like she was arguing with her stepsisters. I asked her what the matter was, and she told me that her stepsisters insisted that she sleep on the floor. There was one large bed in the room and there was enough space for all 3 girls to sleep on. I asked why and she said she didn't know. I went to see what the issue was and talk with my stepdaughters about it. They kept talking but didn't really explain why they told her to sleep on the floor. They just shrugged and said, "It's better this way. We're more comfortable this way." I told Shiloh to grab her things, and when one of my stepdaughters asked where we were going, I told her I was booking her a hotel room. Both looked upset but didn't say anything, but they must have called their mom because she was awake when I got back and started arguing with me about giving Shiloh an entire hotel room for herself. I explained why I did it, but she said I wasted money and that Shiloh could have sucked it up for one night on the floor. I called her unreasonable for this, but she told me I showed the girls that I'm playing favorites and made my stepdaughter share a room while I gave my daughter the entire room for herself. We went home and Candace is still breaking up saying I mishandled this. She even pointed out how my stepdaughters are upset since they're not speaking to me. Edit. It was Candace who got a room for all 3 girls as to not stir any drama and save money. She was in charge of hotel reservations since I was emotionally distressed. Also, Candace did not expect Shiloh to sleep on the floor. She wanted all 3 girls to share the bed. If she wanted all 3 girls to share the bed, why did she say Shiloh should just suck it up and sleep on the floor? Why don't you sleep on the floor and give her your spot on the bed? Go sleep with— oh my god, this post makes me so mad. I don't even want to give my opinion on it. Ew, 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 ew. For those who are calling me an asshole for giving my daughter her name, her mom did that and she's deceased, so please let's not focus on that. And also, I've known my stepdaughters since they were little. We're pretty much family and Candace is a stay-at-home mom, but I give her full access to my money since this stuff was already discussed beforehand. Pretty much everything was.
My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male. We'll call him Jim. A week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years. For a little while after, before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of this because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend. And because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue, and despite thinking it was a shitty thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me. Now I consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself, and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet, so when it comes to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as a +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend, but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress and with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. She also lost weight and has this haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time. He was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kind of rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life, which I thought was cruel and uncalled for, but I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding, despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with and is now completely over Jim.
When I met my husband, I knew he was a player. He was 15 years older than me and we were just having fun, so I didn't really care. This is not my story, by the way. It was sent to me on Instagram. A few months after we met, I started catching feelings for him, but I knew his lifestyle and I knew he was not ready to settle down with one woman. So I told him I wanted us to stop seeing each other because I wanted something serious. He told me he had fallen in love with me too and that he was willing to live his lifestyle for me. So we started dating seriously and everything was great. And throughout this period, I I never ever suspected him of cheating on me. In my head, I was the only one. We got married soon after this. A few months after our marriage, I found out he cheated on me with a younger woman. He apologized and said he was weak. He said it would never happen again and that I was the only woman for him. Even though I was hurt and it took some time, I forgave him and we moved on. A year or so after this, he cheated again. He blamed it on being drunk and I forgave him again. 3 years into our marriage, this man told me he was not interested in me anymore. He said he has fallen out of love with me and that he wanted a divorce. This came out of nowhere and I immediately suspected a woman was involved. After asking him several times, he admitted he was in love with a younger woman. This younger woman was pregnant for him, so he wants me to move out so that the younger woman will move in. I was hurt and dumbfounded, but I can't force a man to love me and stay with me, so I moved out of his house. I moved in with my parents and I couldn't eat and I couldn't sleep. I cried all the time, and for 2 whole months I heard nothing from him. Then I received a call from him all of a sudden. He wanted to meet up. When I met him, he went down on his knees and told me to come back home. He said he was sorry and that I was the only woman for him. I asked about the other woman and her pregnancy, and he told me the other woman had lied and that she was not pregnant at all. I refused to go back to his house, but he didn't give up. He kept begging and begging till I finally gave in and moved back in with him. Now, a couple of months after I moved back in, I met the wife of one of my husband's closest friends, and she told me the whole truth. Apparently, my husband was really in love with a younger woman, and she was really pregnant. He went with some of his closest friends and a few of his family members to the girl's family house to ask for a bride price. But when he saw the girl's mother, he realized he had slept with her in the past. And when the woman saw him, she broke out in tears and started screaming. She had slept with him in the past and had gotten pregnant. But when she had gone to look for him to tell him about the pregnancy, he had already left her town, so she had to raise a daughter on her own. My husband has impregnated his own biological daughter, and his daughter was already 6 months pregnant by then, so the baby could not be aborted. When I got home, I confronted my husband. I asked him why he had lied to me and why he had asked me to come back. He broke down in tears and told me he needed me now more than ever. His family wanted to keep what had happened a secret because it was a taboo. So his plan was to give me his daughter's child once she gives birth, so that I will raise the child up as my own. That way, no one will really know the truth about what had really happened. So he brought me back not because he loved me, but just to use me as a scapegoat. I packed my things that very day and left his house. I know karma has already dealt with him by making him impregnate his own daughter, but I want to take it a step further and post it on social media since he's a very prominent man in my community. I'm hurt and I want to hurt him too. Do you think I should go ahead and post it, or should I just leave him alone? This follower needs your advice, babes. Please drop some below.
Am I the asshole for moving to a hotel because my wife's family insisted I sleep on the couch? My wife and I got married last summer and her family lives across the country from us. So I'd actually never visited, but I did meet them a handful of times and we've always gotten along fine. They invited us to come and stay with them for a few days and we took up on the offer. We flew in yesterday and everything went well. Her dad and I watched football and I caught up with her mom and sisters and then we had a nice dinner. But then they let us know they don't want us sharing a bed while in their home and they wanted me to sleep on the couch. I thought they were joking, but they insisted. I had a problem with the implication that I shouldn't be allowed to sleep next to my wife. Am I the asshole for moving to a hotel because my wife's family insisted I sleep on the couch? I also have a bad back and the couch did not look the least bit comfortable. After arguing back and forth, I decided to leave and book a hotel. I did tell my wife she did not have to come and she chose to stay, and I said I'd come back the next day. The next morning, I called my wife asking when I should come by, and she said her parents want me to apologize. I said I'd do it to keep the peace, but they need to acknowledge it wasn't appropriate to insist I can't share a bed with my own wife. She told me that not only will they not apologize for it, now they're insisting I come back and stay on the couch for the rest of the visit. And if I don't agree, I'm not welcome back.
I'm the asshole for telling my son he either has to go to university, get a job, or get out. My wife and I have 3 kids, 17, 15, and 10. My oldest has no intention to do anything after high school, at least nothing that he's made clear to us. I gave him an ultimatum my parents gave to me. Either go to university, get a job, or get the fuck out. I chose to travel the world for 2 years and had a lot of sailing experience, and my father had a lot of friends in the community, so I was able to do so. And I earned money by working my ass off. It wasn't like a 2-year vacation. I eventually went back and went to school, but my wife thinks I'm being unfair to our poor baby boy by throwing him into the world. I'm not. We have the money to pay for his university. And before my wife and I got engaged, we agreed that we would raise productive members of society. and her and my son think I'm being cruel to expect him to fend for himself at 18. I have offered him multiple opportunities to do other things, and he has nothing and no interest other than his computer. I'm at a loss. I don't think I'm wrong to expecting an adult to be an adult. My parents have already told him that they will not be giving him any money if he isn't working or in school. My wife is threatening to use her salary to support him. Am I the asshole here?